Have you ever been scrolling through social media or maybe just overheard a conversation and suddenly felt like, well, like you needed a translator?
Mhm.
Words like riz, delulu, phrases like it's giving, they just seem to fly by, right?
Yeah.
And you're left thinking, what on earth are they talking about?
Yeah, that feeling of being a bit out of the loop.
Exactly. If that sounds familiar, you are definitely not alone. We've all kind of been there.
For sure.
So today we're doing a deep dive into this really vibrant, super rapid, and often bewildering world of Gen Z slang.
Right.
Our compass for this journey, it comes from some detailed cultural briefings, definitive guides from, real experts in language analysis. So we get a comprehensive look at this evolving dialect.
It's a good, solid foundation.
Our mission for you, the listener, is really to unpack the origins, those subtle nuances, and the bigger cultural context of the most essential Gen Z terms. We want to give you a shortcut, basically, to understanding, help you not just define the words, but really appreciate honestly, the incredible creativity and cultural richness behind them.
Yeah, there's a lot there.
So you can follow the conversation, without feeling overwhelmed. Think of it like your map to this ever-changing landscape of modern English.
A necessary map, I'd say.
Definitely. So let's unpack this then, before we even get into the actual words. Why? Why is Gen Z slang evolving so much faster? And why does it feel so different from, say, millennial slang or Gen X slang?
That's a great question. It really is a fundamental shift. And the research points to three big forces at play here in our, digital world.
Okay, three forces. What's the first?
The first, and maybe the most impactful, is what the sources call the TikTok language accelerator.
Ah, TikTok. Makes sense.
Right. Think of that algorithm as a sort of linguistic super spreader. It creates these incredibly fast trend cycles, hyperspeed, really.
Yeah, for speed.
Yeah, where slang can pop up, peak, and then suddenly become cringe.
Yeah.
Uncool, sometimes within weeks, not years, weeks.
Weeks. Wow.
And a lot of these terms are very audio-centric, too. The intonation, how you say it, is often just as important as the word itself.
The delivery matters.
Hugely. So knowing these terms, using them correctly, it isn't just about communication. It's a signal. It shows your digital tribal identity, that you're part of the in crowd. You get it.
So it's like a membership badge,
Okay.
almost.
Oh,
Okay,
yeah.
That's fascinating. What's the second big driver then?
The second one, and this is profoundly important, is the foundational influence of AAVE. That's African American Vernacular English.
Right, AAV.
Our sources consistently emphasize this. Modern English slang, especially Gen Z slang, has deep, undeniable roots in AAVE. And AAVE isn't just slang, it's a dialect with its own history, its own grammar, its own linguistic rules.
Okay.
So many mainstream Gen Z terms, think about slay, period, woke, ofina, bussin', even the whole structure of it's giving. These originated in Black communities, often decades ago.
Decades, really. Not just the last few years online.
No, often much older. And so when these terms get adopted by non-Black speakers, especially without acknowledging where they came from, it brings up really complex, important dynamics around digital blackface and cultural appropriation.
Yeah, that's crucial context.
Absolutely. Understanding that history, that origin, is really essential if you engage respectfully.
That's such a critical point to remember. It's not just random internet noise. There's a whole cultural legacy there.
Yeah.
Okay, so what's the third force shaping all this?
The third force is the role of what the sources call niche incubators. Think specifically gaming and stan culture.
We have subcultures.
Exactly. These online communities act like these incredibly fertile breeding grounds for new language. It often starts there long before it hits the mainstream.
Like gaming, what comes from there?
Yeah, gaming platforms like Twitch, Discord, they've given us terms that then migrated outwards. Things like woke actually had early traction there. Nerf, meaning to weaken something in a game.
Oh yeah, Nerf. Heard that.
Pog, which is like excitement or approval. And the one you hear more and more, let him cook.
Let him cook. Yes, I've definitely seen that popping up everywhere lately. Okay, and stan culture.
Stan culture, right, which is basically intense fan culture. You see it a lot with K-pop fans, for example. They've developed their own terms, like delulu.
Delulu.
Yeah, it's a playful shortening of delusional. Now it's used more broadly, often humorously, for someone being maybe a bit unrealistically optimistic, especially about romance or fandom stuff.
Oh, interesting.
And the word stan itself, meaning a really dedicated fan, that actually comes from Eminem's song Stan from way back in 2000.
Wow. Okay, so these niche groups are like language labs almost.
Pretty much, yeah. They show how quickly language can evolve within these really passionate online groups. They create this shared vocabulary, for their shared obsession.
This all makes so much more sense when you break it down like that.
Mhm.
Okay, so how does this translate into the actual words we're hearing? Let's dive into some specifics. This is where it gets really interesting. We've kind of grouped them by function. Maybe that helps see the patterns. First up, words for vibes, aesthetics, and descriptors. Things that describe a feeling or a look.
Okay, good category. Let's kick off with a big one. Riz.
Riz. Heard it everywhere.
You have. It's short for charisma, right? But it specifically means skill in charming someone, usually a potential romantic partner. The vibe is like smooth, effortless, confident charm.
Effortless, okay.
Yeah, it was really popularized by a Twitch streamer, Kai Cenat, and it was even the Oxford Word of the Year in 2023.
Word of the year, wow.
Yeah, its rise kind of highlights how this generation maybe values that authentic, almost easy confidence over, older, maybe more formal ways of flirting or courting.
So like an example would be...
Like, he just walked up to her, chatted for 30 seconds, and got her number. Man, that guy has unbelievable riz.
Unbelievable riz. Got it. Okay, so from charming a person, let's talk about describing the vibe of a thing, which brings us to that phrase I see constantly. It's giving.
It's giving. Yeah, this one's all about the vibe or the essence of something, like what feeling does it put out there.
Okay.
Its roots are in 1980s, 90s ballroom culture and AAV, and again, the intonation. Super key. It's really visual, very evocative, lets you capture a whole complex feeling in just those two words.
So how would you use it?
Maybe you're looking at someone. This one refers to acting or maybe just feeling like you're the protagonist in the story of your own life.
Okay.
Like romanticizing your everyday activities. It was a huge TikTok trend. People were encouraged to kind of reframe their normal, mundane life as something, epic or cinematic.
Like you in a movie.
Exactly. It speaks to that desire maybe for self-importance or curating your identity online.
Okay, the ick. I hear this a lot in dating stories. It sounds very specific.
It is very specific. The ick is that sudden, visceral feeling of cringe or repulsion towards someone you were previously attracted to.
Yeah.
And it's often triggered by something really small, sometimes totally irrational, a tiny turnoff. It got big partly thanks to the UK reality show Love Island.
We're in Love Island.
And it kind of reflects maybe the modern dating scene where small details can get amplified, leading to these really quick, often irreversible judgments.
Example.
He was so cute, but then I saw him chase a pigeon in the park, and I just instantly got the ick.
Okay, chasing a pigeon. Definitely an ick trigger. Okay, how about mid? Seems kind of harsh.
It is kind of harsh.
Yeah.
Mid just means mediocre or average. It's dismissive, unimpressed.
Just meh.
Exactly. Meh. It gained popularity from a viral video of a wrestler, Maxwell Jacob Friedman, using it very dismissively. It definitely reflects a culture with maybe high expectations and a real quickness to judge something as just not good enough.
Okay. And bussin'. That sounds much more positive.
Oh yeah, bussin' is enthusiastic. It's from AAVE, and it describes food that is exceptionally delicious. Like, amazing.
The really good food.
Yeah, it's an unreserved way to express enjoyment. Like, it implies the food is almost too good. You'd say, wow, these tacos are absolutely bussin'. You have got to try one.
Bussin' tacos. Got it. Okay, let's shift gears from describing things to verbs and actions. And the first one is interesting because its meaning seems to have shifted. Gaslight.
Yeah, this one's complex. The original meaning of gaslight, refers to a serious pattern of psychological manipulation.
Yeah.
Making someone doubt their own reality.
Right. The movie.
Exactly. But the slang usage, it's become this much more watered-down version. Now it can mean almost any act of lying or mild deception or trying to convince someone of something untrue, maybe even jokingly.
So a much broader, less severe meaning.
Way broader, yeah. And its widespread use kind of shows how language can evolve, sometimes simplifying really complex concepts, maybe too much, some would argue.
It is striking how meanings drift. Okay, what about gatekeep?
To gatekeep means to control access to something. Could be information, a hobby, a fan community. Basically trying to keep it exclusive, keep others out.
Right.
It's used a lot online to call out what people see as selfish or elitist behavior. It reflects that desire for more open and inclusive communities, Don't gatekeep the knowledge.
Right, share the info. Makes sense. And let him cook. That sounds kind of encouraging.
It totally is. Let him cook or let her cook just means let them do their thing. Stop interfering. Stop criticizing.
Let's trust the process.
Exactly. It's a supportive phrase. Asking others to trust someone's ability to work through something and get a good result, even if their method looks weird at first. It has roots in gaming culture, and also AVE embodies that spirit of like collaboration and faith in individual talent.
How would you use that?
Like maybe you're watching a friend plan some super complex project and someone else is like, what are they doing? You'd say, shh, looks weird, I know, but just let them cook.
Let them cook. I like it.
Okay.
Okay, next one I can definitely relate to after spending way too much time online. Touch grass.
Yeah, touch grass. It's basically a command. Get off the internet and go outside, reconnect with reality.
A bit of an insult.
Often, yeah, but usually playful.
Okay.
Aimed at someone seen as being chronically online, too wrapped up in digital drama. But it also kind of reflects this growing awareness that we all need a balance, right? That digital overwhelm is real. It came out of gaming culture initially.
Definitely need that balance. Okay, last one in this section, the very energetic sounding yeet.
Yits. Yeah, it means to throw something. But specifically, with great force and kind of a hilarious lack of concern for where it lands.
Just check it.
Pretty much. It got huge from a Vine video back in 2014. The word itself just perfectly captures this youthful, maybe slightly chaotic energy, unbridled exuberance in just like launching something.
Yet. Okay. All right, let's transition again now into expressions of truth and agreement. These seem really interesting because they're all about emphasizing something or agreeing, often super concisely. First up, no cap.
No cap. This one's from AAVE. It just means no lie or for real. I'm being serious.
Okay.
It emphasizes that you're telling the truth. Cap itself is slang for a lie or a falsehood. So no cap means I'm not lying. It speaks to that desire for authenticity, directness, cutting through the BS, you know?
So you'd say?
This is the best pizza I've ever had. No cap. Meaning I truly, genuinely believe this is the best pizza.
Simple, direct. I like it. How about bet?
Bet is also from AAVE. Super versatile word. It can mean yes, okay, I agree, it's on.
Like challenge accepted.
Sometimes, yeah. Or just a cool, low-key way to confirm plans. It conveys this immediate, confident agreement without needing a lot of words, like, want to grab food later? Bet. Done.
Bet. Got it. And period.
Yeah.
With that hard say sound at the end.
Period. Yes. Emphasize the T. Another term from AAVE, it's an exclamation you put at the end of a statement to add heavy emphasis and basically signal that the discussion is over.
I know a word.
Exactly. It literally means, and that's the final word on the matter. That pronounced E gives it this really definitive, powerful, almost percussive sound, like Rihanna is the greatest artist of our generation, period. Mic drop.
Strong. Very strong. Okay, next.
Based.
Based. This was coined by the rapper Lil B. It's generally used as praise. It means someone is being authentic, they're speaking their mind without worrying what others think, or maybe they have a good, solid, even if unconventional opinion.
So originality and confidence.
Yeah, it celebrates that independent thought, that genuineness, especially in contrast to maybe performative online behavior. Someone is just being real and you respect it. That's based. Okay. And finally, just facts.
Facts, simple, direct, again from AAV. It's usually a single word response, just meaning strong agreement, like saying that's true, or you are absolutely right, or I completely agree with what you just said.
So if someone states an opinion you really vibe with,
You just reply, facts. It's concise, powerful, shows you're totally aligned.
facts. Okay, now we're moving into a really interesting category, the psychology of modern life. These words seem to capture some unique Gen Z experiences, coping mechanisms. Let's start with delulu.
Delulu. Yeah, it's that playful shortening of delusional we mentioned earlier from K-pop stan culture.
Right.
It refers to beliefs that are, unrealistic, overly optimistic, maybe borderline fantastical, especially in romance or fandom. The key is it's often used self-awarely, even humorously.
Like you know it's unrealistic, but you lean in.
Exactly. There's this mantra that goes with it. Delulu is the solulu,
Delulu is the solulu.
meaning delusion is the solution. It reflects this kind of humorous embrace of maybe irrational hope as a way to cope with uncertainty or disappointment.
I love delulu is the solulu. That's
Yeah.
great. Okay, then we have girl math or boy math.
Ah, yeah. This was huge on TikTok in 2023. It's basically a kind of pseudo-logic, right? Used to justify spending habits or decisions. It involves funny, often clearly flawed reasoning.
Like what? Give me an example.
Okay, like, I bought these concert tickets 3 months ago with money I don't remember spending. So when I go to the concert tonight, it basically feels free. That's girl math.
Uh-huh. Okay, I see the logic. sort of.
Exactly. It's this playful way to make sense of, or maybe just laugh about, the sometimes absurd financial realities or little indulgences of modern life.
It's surprisingly relatable, actually. Okay, what about situationship? That sounds vague.
It is vague by definition. A situationship describes an undefined romantic or sexual relationship. It's more than just a casual hookup, but it's definitely less than a committed, defined relationship.
Relationship limbo.
That's a perfect way to put it. The limbo of modern dating. The term really captures a generation's maybe caution towards labels, towards commitment, navigating a world where those traditional relationship steps aren't as rigid anymore.
Hmm. And speaking of defining periods, era.
Era. Yeah, this refers to a period in someone's life that's defined by a specific mood or a big interest or a certain behavior pattern.
Like a musician's album era.
Exactly. That's the inspiration. Think Taylor Swift's different eras. It reflects this modern tendency to kind of curate and brand your own personal journey. Viewing life as a series of these distinct chapters, often ones you consciously create for yourself.
So you might say,
I just quit my job and booked a one-way ticket to Bali. I'm officially in my freedom era.
love that, your freedom era. Okay, moving on to nouns for people and things. First one, simp.
Simp. Okay, this one has origins in AAVE, but it got repopularized, maybe with a slightly shifted meaning, on platforms like Twitch and TikTok.
Right, and it means...
It typically describes a person, usually a man, who does way, way too much for someone they're attracted to, often without getting any affection or attention back. It implies this kind of one-sided, almost desperate pursuit.
Okay, so not usually a compliment.
Generally not, no. It's often used humorously, sometimes critically, to call out behavior seen as overly eager or self-sacrificing, especially in dating or online fan interactions.
Got it. And then stan, we touched on this.
We did. Stan means an extremely obsessive, devoted fan, that's the noun, or to be an obsessive fan, that's the verb, to stan someone.
And it comes from the Eminem song.
Right, the song Stan from 2000, about a dangerously obsessed fan, but the internet kind of reclaimed it. Now it's often used, maybe ironically, maybe genuinely, as a badge of honor for intense, dedicated fandom.
Wait.
Embracing the intensity, but usually without the original negative stalker-ish connotations.
So you can proudly say you stan an artist.
Yeah, exactly. I stan Taylor Swift.
Okay. And wow, our sources highlighted so many other terms too, reinforcing these themes. Things like ghosting, for just cutting off contact.
Right. Or breadcrumbing, leading someone on with minimal effort.
Drip, for a cool outfit.
Tea for gossip.
Shade, for subtle insults.
Understood the assignment for doing something perfectly.
And again, so many of these, this sources note, trace back to AAVE, or ballroom culture. That influence is just immense.
Absolutely undeniable.
So, okay, this is a lot of language. What does it all mean for us, the learners, people trying to understand, maybe even use some of these terms without sounding, without sounding like we're trying too hard?
Yeah.
How do we avoid being, cringe?
That is the million-dollar question, isn't it? The guides we looked at offer some really crucial do's and don'ts here. Rule number 1, listen more than you speak.
Observe first.
Exactly. Pay attention to how people who use this language naturally, mostly Gen Z, actually use these terms in context. You absorb slang through exposure, not just by memorizing a list like flashcards.
Right, okay. Immerse yourself before jumping in. Makes sense.
Precisely. Second, and we keep coming back to this, understand the cultural source.
The origins.
Yes. Be aware of where terms come from, especially those rooted in AAVE or other specific communities. This helps avoid accidental cultural appropriation. The sources are clear. Never claim you invented a term that has a known cultural history. It's about respect. Authenticity.
That feels incredibly important for respectful communication. Vital, really.
Absolutely vital. Third piece of advice, don't force it.
If it feels weird, don't say it.
Pretty much. If a word doesn't feel natural rolling off your tongue, just don't use it. Trying to awkwardly shoehorn bussin' or riz into your conversation, it'll likely sound forced. It makes it obvious you're not a, quote, native speaker of this dialect. And that, right there, is the fast lane to cringe city.
Cringe city. Don't want to go there. And I guess context is massive, too.
Oh, context is everything. Rule 4, context is king. Slang is, generally speaking, strictly for informal situations.
Right, not for the board meeting.
Definitely not. Using no cap in a business proposal or telling your boss they slayed the quarterly report, probably not a good look. Major professional faux pas. Know your audience, know your setting. Always.
Okay. And the final rule, maybe the toughest one for slang. Knowing when it's over.
Yeah.
When it's dead.
Yes. Know when a word is dead, because these slang cycles, they are brutally fast.
Weeks, you said?
Can be. A good rule of thumb from the sources is this. If you start seeing a term pop up in corporate advertising or maybe mainstream news headlines, its cool days, at least for the original in-group, are likely numbered.
The mainstream kills the cool.
Often, yeah. For example, Riz was word of the year in 2023. If you start seeing it in, like, fast food ads in 2025, that's probably going to accelerate its journey straight into the cringe category for the people who used it first.
The slang life cycle. Okay, so here's where it gets really fascinating then. Language is always moving. Where is slang headed? Like 2025 and beyond. What are the experts predicting?
Yeah, the future. The insights here point to a few really interesting trends. First, get ready for the AI influence.
AI. Huh?
Well, as AI tools get more integrated into everything, content creation, social media, they might start to accelerate how human-made slang spreads. Or even wilder, AI might even start generating its own linguistic trends.
Whoa. AI creating slang.
Imagine an AI influencer launching a new viral term. It could fundamentally change how language evolves. It's a bit sci-fi, but plausible.
That's a wild thought. Okay, AI as a co-creator. What else is on the horizon?
We can probably expect the shortening trend cycle to just keep going, maybe even speed up more.
Faster than weeks?
Possibly. The lifespan of slang terms will likely keep shrinking because the internet just has this insatiable thirst for novelty for the next new thing.
So the skill isn't just knowing words.
Exactly. The key skill won't just be knowing the current slang, but developing the agility, the ability to learn new slang quickly. It becomes more about understanding the mechanics of how slang emerges and spreads, not just memorizing vocabulary lists.
Learning how to learn slang. Okay. And then the inevitable march of the brands, right?
Oh, yeah. Trend 3, the slang to corporate pipeline. Brands will absolutely continue to try and co-opt Gen Z slang for their marketing.
Which then makes it cringe faster.
Precisely. It accelerates that cringe cycle we talked about. And that, in turn, forces the original in-groups to constantly create new, more exclusive language to maintain their identity, to distinguish themselves from that mainstream adoption. It's like a perpetual linguistic arms race.
Keep moving, keep innovating.
Yeah.
And finally, this idea that nothing's ever really new.
Exactly. Trend 4. The cyclical nature of language. Just like old-fashioned trends get rediscovered and feel cool again.
Mom jeans.
Right. Old slang will probably get rediscovered too, recontextualized by new generations. They might find some older terms, retro and cool again. Language, just like style, it's constantly recycling itself, adding new layers onto its history.
Wow. What a deep dive this has been. It really makes it clear that Gen Z slang is, it's so much more than just a bunch of funny words strung together.
Oh, absolutely. It's genuinely, as the sources say, a living, breathing record of our culture.
Yeah.
It really functions as a tool for identity, for community building, and honestly, for navigating the complexities of the modern world. It reflects a generation that's juggling life both online and offline. It shows this nuanced awareness of social issues. It uses playful coping mechanisms like Delulu, and it just demonstrates immense creativity in communication.
And I think one of our sources summed it up perfectly. It said something like, you may not choose to use Delulu or let him cook in your daily life.
Right.
But now you understand them. You can appreciate the creativity behind them. You can follow the conversation.
Yeah.
You have a map to the ever-changing landscape of the English language. And that, it concludes, no cap, is a skill worth having, period.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Facts.
So thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the fascinating, fast-paced world of Gen Z slang.
Yeah, thanks for tuning in.
We really hope you feel maybe a little more in the know now, and perhaps even a bit inspired by just the sheer creativity and constant evolution of language.